Has your circle of friends, acquaintances, supporters shifted or changed since you began your grief journey? This is a topic that comes up a lot and for very good reasons. I often hear from people who are brokenhearted for many reasons that their circle has become very, very small. Perhaps people they thought would always be there are not. And again, for a variety of reasons. And as I sit here, I contemplate how mine shifted. Now, the truth is that before my son died, of course I had a circle. I was very blessed. I had a small circle of friends that I would consider confidants, family members, people who were close to me. But seldom did I confide in them. This is not wrong or right. It's just the way it was. That was not the nature of most of our relationships. And when my son died, and Mike died of suicide at the end of 2010, those people who were very close to me, most of them adored Mike. And so the loss was not only mine, it was theirs as well. To be honest, my role in most relationships was that of cheerleader or supporter. And even though I need to be very honest, some people tried their best to support me, I did not always know how to receive that support. Some people simply went away. Others would call or reach out to tell me how they were doing. Again, this is not wrong. That should be piece of a conversation, a part of it, isn't it? That wasn't always my experience for so many reasons. At the same time, I want to be clear. Other circles opened up or expanded. For instance, I think about some of the people who were clients or clients who had become friends. Those circles became more strong, more staunch. Isn't that interesting? And I think it's because my role with them was very different. This is my thought. I'd love to know your experience. I'd love to know what has been true for you. As time went on, in fact, very little time, I found an amazing group of people on a forum that was part of a website. And I became very comfortable sharing, supporting others, as well as receiving support. My circle expanded in a rather unexpected way. A way that I relished, I cherished, I appreciated, and many of those people are still very important to me. Now, I've sat and thought about some of the whys of this. And I'd love to know what you experience and what resonates with you. And I wonder, I don't know, maybe my thoughts will change tomorrow. In those small circles that had existed for so long, as I said, my role was different. Those people absolutely love and care. This is not about making them wrong. I did not feel comfortable sharing my stuff, my worries, my fears. That's on me, not on them. But these other circles that grew, that became more staunch, that showed up from unexpected places, I didn't have those same cares or worries. Our relationship was very different to begin with, especially the people that I met after Mikey died. There were no expectations that I would only support. There was a very natural expectation that it would be give and take, that I would give support as well as receive. I could share my story. I could share the really rotten, awful, hard days. And I could support them, meet them where they were. And although we weren't meeting in person, we could, via message, sort of sit on the couch with one another with that cherished cup of coffee or tea and exchange messages. Meet one another where we were. And so when I think about the people that I work with as a coach or when I'm training coaches, I'd like to suggest that we expand our thoughts about this. I want to be very careful that I'm not making people wrong for not showing up in a way that I needed, especially when I own my piece that I was not receptive. Not that I didn't need it. I was not able for a myriad of reasons. And maybe they weren't either. They certainly needed love and support too, didn't they? And maybe I wasn't able to, I know I wasn't able to provide that for them in the way I once had. This isn't about making people wrong. This is about what else is there? Are there other pieces? So often when we're experiencing really overwhelming feelings and thoughts, and grief certainly has all of those pieces, doesn't it? We might not be able to see or even contemplate that there's more than this initial thought of, I've been abandoned. Why aren't people calling? Why aren't people showing up? Don't they know this is what I need? And I think that's a really fair question. Don't they know? Maybe they don't. In my case, probably they didn't know. I didn't communicate it to them. That had not been who I was. It still wasn't in most ways. This is not about making them wrong or me wrong. It's about understanding that we all have a complicated experience. We have our thoughts and expectations, and so do others. We have needs that we may or may not be able to communicate effectively, and so do they. And I wonder how we can open up that conversation to be more helpful to all of us. Now, if I could go back to the end of 2010 and change things, if I'm very honest, I'm not sure how much I was. I'm not talking about Mike ending his death. Of course I would change that if I could. Well, maybe that's not an of course. That was his decision and his right, wasn't it? Would I change the way I showed up? My hope is that I would be able to open my heart in different ways. Maybe not. I've learned and I've grown in many ways, and so have others. At the same time, there's this piece of me that's so incredibly aware of the people who were gifted to me, is the way I feel like, that I would never have known if I hadn't gone looking in other places. I don't know if I'd be doing the work I am. Yes, I was a coach before Mike died, but I shifted my focus to grief afterward. And much of that had to do with building different forms of support that I didn't find. So how much of this prompted me to do and be who I am? I think about these people that I didn't know before my son died, and I'm so grateful for them. In fact, a few weeks ago we were on vacation, and when I came home, how lovely, there were messages from two of them. What a gift. What a gift. So when we talk about our circle shrinking during the grief experience, I want to be very respectful and honor that. If that's your truth, my heart goes out to you and I understand. I wonder, is it okay for me to ask, if one particular is shrinking, is there another that might be showing up? Is there another that's developing? Is there another circle? Maybe it's a little fuzzy. Maybe there are people you have not yet met or have not yet thought of as being in your circle. If you're listening to this, it's probably because we have connected somehow through social media. Probably we're not part of one another's circle before this grief experience. That is growth that matters, isn't it? So I'm not asking us to deny that one circle might be shrinking, and maybe it's not. For some people, it doesn't shrink. I'm asking us to open up and expand our awareness of other pieces and to not judge or hold responsible those who were not able to show up or didn't show up, or maybe we were not able to respond to as we might have expected. What else might this look like? What else might be there? Who else is there? Maybe we don't have one circle. Maybe we have many. How about you? Certainly that's my experience, and I'm very grateful for it. I'd love to know your thoughts and your experiences. Please share your input, because the more we share, the more we provoke, prompt, thought, and processing of others. And that's so helpful. In fact, that is what grief healing is about. I wish you a gentle day of peace and healing. Namaste.